After 12 seasons in the National Football League, tight end or Vikings superstar tight end Kyle Rudolph has officially announced his retirement. We all knew this was coming because he's getting up there in age, and his stats just kind of, fell off a cliff, if you will. Now, he was a great as a Minnesota Viking. After he left us, he went over to the New York Giants. Really didn't play too much, only about 257 yards, one tutty, all right? And then he went to Tampa Bay. I watched his only touchdown that he had with that organization. Tom Brady threw it to him right side of the end zone. I was in the stands for that one. Felt pretty pumped up. That was against the Atlanta Falcons. But now he officially has retired from the National Football League. Jordan Schultz reported it first, and he also said, well, let's look at that tweet, shall we? It says, two-time Pro Bowl tight end Kyle Rudolph tells him that he'll officially retire as a member of the Minnesota Vikings organization. Now, Rudolph says that the Vikings will honor him around their Week 3 game against the Los Angeles Chargers, which should be a very special weekend for Kyle Rudolph and his family. Not only is he going to retire as a Minnesota Viking, but at some point later on down the road, he's going to end up in the Minnesota Vikings Ring of Honor. I'm not going to say Hall of Fame because his stats, let's just be honest, folks. It's not Hall of Fame worthy, okay? I don't think he has a Super... No, he definitely doesn't have a Super Bowl. Only a two-time Pro Bowler. But he will end up in the Vikings Ring of Honor because of the stats he put up here in Minnesota. Now, he was about a 200 to 500-yard receiver basically every season of his career, except for that final one in Tampa Bay. Other than that, you're only going to get a handful of touchdowns out of him. He was a red zone threat for a couple seasons in Minnesota. When we got into the 5-10-yard line, we knew that Kyle Rudolph was probably going to be a potential possibility to score a touchdown every single time. He only had one fantastic season, or a great season, for the Minnesota Vikings, which was in 2016, where he had 840 yards, 7 tutties, and then following that up the year after, only 500-some yards, 8 touchdowns. So Kyle Rudolph, he's not a great tight end by any means, but he's a Vikings legend because of the simple fact that he is second in the Vikings tight end records for receiving yards, if you will. I could have worded that a little bit different, but I really don't care. You guys understand it. Let's get to that little stat right now. It says Rudolph was the Vikings' second-round pick out of Notre Dame in the 2011 NFL Draft. Rudolph quickly established himself as one of the best red zone threats in the league, which I did mention, and held that title for much of his time with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, his final season in Minnesota was in 2020, and he was firmly entrenched himself, or has firmly entrenched himself, in the team's record books at the tight end spot. As it stands today, Rudolph is second in team history in receptions and receiving yardage for tight ends, trailing only Steve Jordan, who, by the way, is the father of, yes, Saints defensive end Cam Jordan, all right? In both of those categories, that's where Rudolph ranks, okay? And has more touchdown receptions than any tight end in Minnesota Vikings history. So there's a reason he's a legend here in Minnesota. I'm grateful that he was a Viking for so long. I have a lot of memories of him. I'm sure you guys do as well, especially in the red zone and being a blocking tight end and just doing special things for us. We didn't win a Super Bowl for him. It is what it is. Many people don't win Super Bowls. Even, Michael Vick. Okay, he didn't win a Super Bowl, and he was great, all right? There's other legends out there that never won a Super Bowl, but Kyle Rudolph is a Vikings legend. He will end up in the Ring of Honor. I'm glad for him, glad for his family. It's time to ride off in the sunset and start a second career at whatever he's going to do. I'm sure he'll do great things, but Kyle Rudolph officially hanging it up, hanging those cleats on a hook and, riding off into the sunset as a member of the Minnesota Vikings. You guys can let me know in the comments what you think about this. Drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much appreciated. Have a great rest of your day, folks, and Skol Vikes.